yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore. Hell yes, hell yes, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15. Hell yes, your AK-47. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15.
Oh, hell no.
Hell yes, we're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
Do you remember when that dumb son of a bitch was going to run for president? He did. He ran for president. Beto. What kind of name is Beto? O'Rourke or Rourke or whatever the fuck his name was. Oh, he's coming for your guns. They'll try anything under the sun, folks. Well, they can't get your free speech. They're going to try. Fight them. They can't get your Second Amendment. Try it and they'll find out. But fight them. Folks, instead, they're going to invade our country with people who hate it. Can you see what is coming with these scumbag illegals? Can you see it? Can you see it yet? Do you know what they're doing to England right now? Do you see what they're going to do in the United States of America? Now, we've had Chin Music share with us stories about what's going on down on his border where he's watching. We're getting stories up and down the border. We got to be careful of the lies. But the lies come from both sides. Well, especially on Biden's side. Especially. They love misinformation, disinformation, and outright freaking lies. But here's some facts. Little more, well, close to the line of truth. In England, their Prime Minister, Sunak, guess what he said about the pro-Palestinian protesters? He was not complimentary of them. No. The pro-Palestinian protesters are actually Hamas or Hezbollah or name your terror group. They support them all. They want terror. And guess what's going on in England? Well, the Prime Minister says the protests are descending into a mob rule crowd, a mob rule shall we say, democracy, where they all vote for more mobs and more chaos. That lifestyle, living without law, doing whatever the hell they want, is exactly how that scum lived in the Middle East. And now England, as well as the United States, the rest of Europe, Canada, they've all imported that level of retardation. And I'm not making fun of them. They are below the average IQ. That means retarded. And they are violent. The more ignorant, or shall I say, unintelligent a human being is, the more apt, the more prone they are to reacting to stimuli violently. Now, they do have a brain. Well, kind of. And they have thoughts. Of course, they're alive. But the conclusions they reach are based on the lies they live, and the reaction they have to the lies they lived is violence. Are you ready for it? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. 2024 is the run for the president of the United States of America. This is our last chance. Now, I'm not going to literally jump up and down. Not going to do it. I'm not going to scream and yell. I've been doing it for 10 freaking years with you guys. Right? And others of you are joining. In fact, Donald Coombs, I put his video out this morning in a post. Take a look at what he has to say. People need to wake up. They need to start talking back. They need to start yelling back. At some point, folks, you're going to be shooting back. Well, I don't promote violence. I can't stop it either. But the world is insane, folks. Now, I'm going to tell you, it was several weeks ago, the racist in the mainstream media, it looks like a big Q-tip. He's a big black guy with a big old giant white fuzzy hairdo. It looks like a Q-tip. I call him Q-tip boy. Anyways, this is what he had to say Until we take away their power, they will continue to do this. Now, until we take away their power, they will continue to do this. So apparently, an MSNBC media contributor, Q-Tip Boy, he wants the Democrat Party to strip power, take power from the Supreme Court because of, well, the Trump ruling that didn't go in their favor. So let's take a look at some more details about what it is they think they're going to do. And then I want you to think about it. Think about it. See, yesterday, the Supreme Court agreed to hear whether or not Donald Trump has immunity from criminal prosecution. Ellie Mistel is Q-Tip Boy, by the way. I want to give him full credit because he's an idiot. So Judge Tanya Chutkan, another complete moron, announced she was postponing her March 4th trial until Trump's immunity argument gets its way all the way through the court. Now, what's amazing is the Democrats, folks, worship Erdogan. They worship Chutkan. They worship fat-ass Fannie Willis. They worship Letitia James. All of these left-wing scumbag, low-level prosecutors and judges they love. But the Supreme Court? Oh, no. They need to be stripped of their power. What does that mean? Well, this is what Ellie Mistel, Q-Tip Boy, has to say about the Supreme Court. What it says is that they are corrupted political actors who act in bad faith. The reason why people like Mark and people like Dahlia seem to have a crystal ball is because they're real, because they're realists and they understand the court for what it is. Oh, how interesting is that? How interesting is that? So they're not trying to make decisions based on some, well, democratic republic or some fascist form and philosophy. No, they're actors. Right? This is what you're gonna love this, right? This is what he has to say about it. You know, they're not trying to do their best. You know, they're intentionally trying to take down the country. That's what this idiot wants you to believe. Democrats, folks, are suffering from Trump derangement syndrome like you cannot believe. Let me tell you what happens when you remove the Supreme Court. Who's going to take their place? Who's going to make that decision? Now, for Hitler, folks, they had the Congress burned to the ground. Their Reichstag fire was their Congress, burned it to the ground. And then Hitler said, we don't need them anymore. I can make all the rules we need all by myself. It's called a dictatorship. A court is supposed to provide consistency. And I agree, we have not gotten consistency out of the court because they are, shall we say, controlled to certain degrees over certain issues. I agree we need judges who understand the Constitution, the spirit of the law, our history, tradition, cultures, etc. And they need to be in there protecting the Constitution and protecting the people as its primary function. And its secondary function is telling the government what it can and cannot do. Period. If they get rid, I mean, he's seriously promoting the idea of throwing the court out. Well, then where do you make your case? Where do you argue your case? What they want is an unelected or an elected bullshit Democrat in position to make politically based decisions. Oh, Trump, guilty. Trump, no. John, guilty. John, you don't get any breaks. Hunter Biden, go smoke some crack. Fuck a hooker. You're fine. Steal all the money you want. Shake down other countries. You see, they want to take away the power of persuasion, right? Explaining yourself intelligently. That's what courts are for, is explaining yourself. Nope, they don't want to have anything to do with that. They literally want that to happen. They want to take away the power. They want to destroy our checks and balances system, not just a little bit, but fully. No court, even as bad as the Supreme Court is right now, and it's bad, it would be far worse without it, because somebody would be making decisions, and it would be lower level, even more politically biased, appointed scumbag partisans making decisions. Really, folks, this is where we're at in the United States of America. Now, a lot of people thought, good. Oh, by the way, questions down below on this leap year lunacy edition of SHTF style. Now, everyone thought that Turtles McConnell, shithead Turtles, right? Fucking Mitch McConnell is resigning. Well, I'll tell you what, there's a couple of problems here. He wants to stay in office so he can fuck up the rest of this election. What do I mean? Well, he's just a senator. What does he have to do with anything? He's in charge of distributing money and support and authority and power within the Republican Party because he's the head of the Senate, Republicans. Get him out of the fucking way. And let's put someone in there who has a real sense of patriotism. And I don't mean Senator Cornyn. That's right, shit-heel Texas rhino. Senator John Cornyn has said he wants to step into Mitch McConnell's power. He wants to be the Republican Senate leader, whether they're minority or majority. John Cornyn, no. Hell, even Senator Cruz in Texas, both of them folks waffle way too much. They flip and they flop way too much to be trusted. About the best I can point to in the Senate is what? Senator Cotton, Senator Paul. But I have yet to find anybody in the Senate who is 100% Constitution and people first. Where the fuck are those Americans? Where are they? Literally, where are they? Right? The House Freedom Caucus, which has got quite a bit going for them, but this isn't the House of Representatives. They're demanding Mitch McConnell immediately step down. Not screw Republicans in the primaries, not screw the Republicans in the general election the way Paul Ryan did. Folks, understand that no matter how good or bad it is, these politicians are sellouts. And during SHTF times, when an empire is collapsing, when there's social unrest, when there's corruption off the scale, two things happen to leaders. Number one, they sell out and enrich themselves. And number two, and I'm not promoting violence or encouraging it, but these same leaders tend to get whacked, eliminated, erased, scrubbed, removed, done. Just it's unbelievable where we're at, folks. I'm an American. I love this country. And I've had quite a unique day. As you can tell, I also went to the barber shop. And the barber shop was quite interesting. Someone said, hey, I was in here and some guy was in the corner, didn't like our political discussion, stood up, said he was a Democrat. I looked at the owner of the barber shop. She looked at me and said, we told him to get the fuck out of here. No, they don't need their money. Democrats, get the fuck out. Here we go, folks. It is on. Questions down below. I'll make you famous after I get my 30-minute monologue in. In Texas, a federal judge has decided to block a Texas law. What Texas law would a federal judge want to get involved with? Well, the one that says the police have the power to arrest illegal aliens. That seems self-explanatory. They're here illegally. They are illegally here. When you do something against the law, it is a crime. They don't have felony crime, misdemeanor crime, and you shouldn't have done that crime, but there's no penalty for it. That's what getting into this country is about. Being an illegal immigrant is, well, you shouldn't have done that. We really don't like that. But since you're here, why don't you take all this fucking money? Unbelievable. But this is not, see, that it's a federal judge ruling on a state matter. So, I've not read the court filing, but I'm sure they're going to say that the state of Texas enforcing its own law is interfering with the federal government performing its own function. So what we're saying is, according to the Democrats, if the federal government is after you for some crime, then no state or local law enforcement agent can arrest you because, well, the federal government is in charge of arresting you for a federal crime. No, that's not how it works. If there's a federal warrant out for you, a local cop, a county cop, a state trooper, or a federal cop is going to bust your ass to the ground. But in this case, oh, no. You are not allowed to enforce federal law, state law, as long as the criminal in front of you is an alien from another country, an illegal alien. We have the Biden border invasion going full steam ahead. And this invites a Second Amendment argument. The similarities is incredible. Let me bring it to you this way. This federal judge wants Texas law enforcement to not do their job according to Texas state law. Okay, some fucking scumbag criminal makes it through the federal lines. Oh, there's a shocker. And so state people are like, hey, you're here illegally. You are now arrested. Easy. It's easy math. You're a criminal. We caught you. Well, the judge says, no, you can't do that. Why are we listening to any fucking judges? Hell, Q-Tip boy wants to throw out the Supreme Court. But we better listen to this federal judge in Texas. Q-Tip boy doesn't want to hear anything about, right, Trump or abortion or nothing. But you better do what Judge Erdogan, a schmalzy turdball, says. And he is a sack of shit, too. Or Judge Chutkin. Or any of the other Democrat sellout, just scum that have been locking away January 6th protesters. And we'll get into more about them later. How about this? How about if we just ignore this fucking judge? The Supreme Court of the United States has multiple rulings for decades now supporting the Second Amendment, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, period. In the last 20 years, more states have done concealed carry laws, open carry laws, castle doctrine, stand your ground, self-defense to protect yourself and others, period. And the Democrats go, well, we don't care what the Supreme Court said. Take Illinois, for example. Well, we don't care that your rights are being infringed over the Second Amendment. We're going to make you register your weapons. We're going to make you turn in your 10-round magazines. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to fuck you over. And they're ignoring the Second Amendment. They're ignoring the Supreme Court. They're ignoring the spirit of the law. They're ignoring tradition, our culture, everything having to do with guns. Fuck it. We don't have to do what those judges say. But you better do what a federal judge says down in Texas. See what I'm saying? If the Democrats can ignore the Supreme Court of the United States over Second Amendment rulings, then who gives a fuck what any judge says over a state law that has nothing to do with the feds? The only thing the state law that has to do with the feds is catching criminals that the federal government have allowed to go free. Every day I get more and more pissed off at these fucking people. Unbelievable. And before I forget, let's talk about some January 6th bullshit. Americans are rotting in prison. They've been convicted of bullshit and given multiple year sentences while fucking Hunter Biden can unlawfully throw a handgun in the garbage. He can snort coke. He can smoke crack. He can toke on marijuana. He can drive over 150 miles an hour in his Porsche to Vegas. He can go to other countries and shake down political leaders, bureaucrats, police, everybody. He can make dirty deals for the big guy, his dad, and get lots of money. No problems. But if you protest in Washington, D.C. about an election that is so scandalous that it is impossible to believe it could have been true, 91 million voters for Joe fucking Biden. So if you believe that it was lost and you went to January 6th protest, you're in prison still. We're almost all the way back. A full fucking circle. Almost 4 years, folks. Well, just past 3 anyways. It'll be 4 next January when we go to inaugurate the next president. But the political prisoner of the day is Matthew Bedingfield. Guess what he got while in prison? He got his fucking teeth knocked out and down his throat. Folks, there is punishment and a price for freedom that has to be paid. Matthew Bedingfield and others have paid that price. This is what he has to say. We, the people, are locked in a battle between good and evil. You bet. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. When it's your turn to face evil, what are you going to do? Where will you go? What will you do for help? Who is going to protect you when evil comes for you? When Washington, D.C. turns its sights on you, when they turn their criminal miscreants loose on you, what do? I could be talking about the FBI. I could be talking about Antifa and BLM. I could be talking about illegal immigrants. We, the people of this country, own this country, not the Supreme Court, not the president, not Congress, not the bureaucrats, not the bankers. They don't own this fucking country. And they know it, and they keep trying to intimidate us and lie. That's all they've got, folks. If we want, we can take this country back in a matter of hours. It's not time yet, though. Look, we got more lunacy, more communist lunacy, and there's no end to the communist Democrat lunacy. In the great city of Portland, I want to know what you have to say about this. In the great state of Oregon, Portland, Oregon, a 49-year-old stripper is running for mayor. I'm sure her ideas have great merit. Because right across the border in Seattle, Uman or Kaz or both shared a video today with me over illegal immigrants in Seattle. And Portland and Seattle, folks, are just on different sides of the river. Illegal immigrants were in City Hall with their American idiot Democrat communist supporters, shouting and screaming and chanting and demanding more money be spent on the illegals. And one of the ridiculous left-wing idiot council bitches actually said, hey, this is more of a county, state, and federal government issue. It's not up to cities to fund all this. Well, too bad. In a lot of ways, it's fun to say, yeah, enjoy it. You asked for it. You got it. You voted for this. Enjoy it. You bunch of dunderheads. Good golly. I'm going to stop at this point, and this is not a paid advertisement. The Coffee Coffee Company, they've got another roast. This is the 45 roast. And while there's no good story here, there's some damn good smelling coffee. I recommend going to them, folks. Right? The bag does talk about the bold and robust flavor, reflecting the strength and resilience of the American people. Truly a patriotic coffee. The management of the company has sent me a couple of emails. Not a paid not a paid endorsement. They're not paying me any money. They gave me a little bit of coffee, but they're not paying me any money. What I want you to do is support businesses that support and love America, the Constitution, and the people. Fuck these Democrats. 100%, folks. There is no room in the world for people like this. Wow. And now let's do this. Here's a quote. Her star will forever shine. Houston, Texas. Fox 26, that's a channel. Fox 26 producer Maggie McKetham died suddenly, unexpectedly, 38 years of age. They're not going to tell us what's going wrong with this lady, but I think we can take a wild freaking guess. Literally, a wild guess. What a world, folks. What a freaking world. Are you ready for more? Are you ready? There's no accidents. There's no coincidences. Nothing. I just talked about Seattle and Portland, right? Portland getting a stripper for mayor, potentially. Seattle saying, hey, we can't afford all these illegals, and the people screaming for more. In Chicago, Chicagoans, Illinoisians are demanding, right, that they get rid of these illegals. In New York City, guess what? The mayor, right, Eric Adams, the mayor of the New York City, he wants to change their status from, well, being a sanctuary city to a sanctuary city no more, because they want to deport the illegal criminal aliens. Well, interestingly, we run into a question. Is this coincidence or a demand for more totalitarian madness? Well, one of Eric Adams's top aides, helpers, had his home raided by the FBI just 2 days after Mayor Adams wants the sanctuary city dropped. Now, here's my deal. Here's my thoughts on this. I have noted time and time again that these Democrats are a bunch of perverted freaks. How many times do we have to point out, right? They're pedophiles. They have child pornography. They're violent. They lie. They cheat. They steal. They're corrupt. They commit fraud. They get arrested all the time. But then we also have to note that, well, if you go against the regime of Biden, well, they're going to come get you. They're going to come and get you. Totalitarian madness, folks. And I had a friend contact me while I was driving back to the bunker today. And her grandson was being transported home after being born. And they were notified that the police were going to come to the house and take the baby if they didn't go back. Why? Because the mother and father said no vaccinations for the baby or anyone. And they claim that the baby is now in danger, even though they discharged them. Just what the fuck is going on? Who owns a baby? Mom and dad? Or a hospital with doctors and nurses? Who owns a baby? Who cares for the baby? Who pays for the baby? The hospital? No, not at all. Hospitals and doctors and scientists have become another layer of government, folks. Totalitarian madness. And it is no coincidence. Because if you have some sort of intellectual authority like a doctor or a scientist, Democrats will push you into positions of power and then make you do their what? Their bidding. Look at all these doctors that supported Jim Jones juice, and they silenced all the ones who opposed it. Look at how many people are dying. I saw a report that over 500,000 children died because of the juice. Dead. American children dead. 500,000. 500,000 dead. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what the report was that I read. Do you believe it? If it's true, how could they hide it? How could they hide it? If we have 1,000 big cities, big enough big cities in this country, that means 500 children since the Jim Jones juice has been out have been killed. 500 kids per hospital. I'm sorry, per big city. Well, if it's not 1,000 big cities in America, how about 100 major cities in America? You know, cities like LA and San Francisco and Dallas. I mean, there's only how many football teams? 30, 34, whatever it is. If you're a big city, you got a pro sports team. There's 30 or 40 teams in every sport, and they're basically in the same cities. But let's just say there's 100 NFL football team-sized cities, and there's not. 100 major cities, these blue cities on the map that you see, where the Democrats win elections. 100 into 500,000. What is that? That's 5,000 kids a year in those big cities dying from Jim Jones juice. Is that possible? Is it possible to hide them? Oh, I think so. I think so. You would never know because they're going to hide those fucking numbers. Let's do this. Let's go to the inner circle, folks. There isn't a bullet fast enough to take care of all our problems, but there are plenty of bullets. All righty. It is now your turn to talk. Your ideas, your thoughts. Ooman has been down below picking up your comments. Get them in now. Don't get them in the last 5 minutes of the show, folks. No, because Ooman starts weeding them out so we can finish out the show. Get them in now. And word your questions as well as possible. A lot of times we have way too many questions, can't get to them. And so you're doing great. Keep doing what you do. And let's get to chin music. He says, Ukraine has lost their highest ranking Senate Republican. Fuck. I was reading that thinking, what the fuck is he talking about now? He's talking about Mitch McConnell. Yeah, Ukraine has lost their highest ranking Republican supporter. That's right. Mitch wanted to give Ukraine another $60 billion. And he wanted to throw some peanuts at the border. You know, these politicians are such fucking assholes. I can only imagine the holidays at home when they go home from Washington. Their families must think they're giant dickheads. They must kiss their ass because they're, so powerful. But they must go, Uncle Mitch is a total dickhead. Great uncle, great grandpa Mitch. What a fucking loser. What a dumbass. Highest ranking Senate Republican. Mitch McConnell never voted yes for something that didn't pay him well. I mean, thank you, Chin Music, for catching me off guard. Yeah, Ukraine, the war against Russia. The United States wants to finance that. And there's something else out here I want to talk about since we're discussing war. I had someone today who claimed to be a Republican say something ignorant. He's like, Biden's an asshole, but he won't give money. He wants to give money to Israel to fight those. And then he called the Palestinians, the Gaza people. He's like, it's all women and children. I'm like, If it's women and children, who are all these men doing the killing and fighting? There is so much misinformation about Gaza, Palestine, Hamas, terrorism, Israel, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations. It's disgusting. That's why it's like I don't pick any side. They're all assholes. Every last one of them. They've been assholes now for the last couple hundred years. I don't care if they're Sephardic Jews or fucking Ashkenazi, whether they're Khazar or Semites. I don't care. I am sick of their shit. They're trying to drag the world into world war over a belief system that none of them can establish is real. You can have all the faith in the world you want, but you can't prove it. All you can have is faith. So they run with faith in a belief system to destroy and kill and murder each other. Talking about the Jews, the Muslims, the Christians you want to get involved. I'll tell you what is real and demonstrably true and provable. Freedom. Now that is something worth going to war and fighting for. Freedom. Because we have history of how it works. When people are free, they're wealthy. When people are free, they prosper. When people are free, they enjoy their lives. When people are not free, it's the opposite. Faith. What does faith prove? Nothing to other people. Essentially, faith is a very personal thing. So they want to take something like faith and turn it into a world war. Fuck these people. Fighting for our freedom, you bet. That is something I'm going to be standing in line for. Look out, folks. The stupid is off the hook. People don't know which side to pull for. And that's the other thing is people, Americans especially, think they've got to pick a fucking side. You have to choose Israel or you have to choose Gaza. You have to choose the Jews and you have to choose the Palestinians. I think who was it? Was it Marilyn or Darcy T the other day sent me the flag, the Palestinian flag from like 1920? Before there was an Israel, it had a Jewish star, a Star of David, a 6-pointed star on the Palestinian flag before the Jews actually returned and formed the state of Israel there. Why the hell would Palestinians have the Star of David on their flag? Must be one of those Mandela effect holdovers, huh? It's a big whoops. All right. Mr. Uman, where are we going next, dude? What else is happening? Holy cow, haven't heard from a long time, but she's back. It's the Charlanator. Charlanator asked this question and said, or brings this thought to mind. I wonder how many of our elected officials, family members, are threatened if the politicians don't comply with the puppet masters. Very astute of you to bring this up. I want to first approach this, and Uman may come on the screen and join in if he wishes. I believe Boebert, Congresswoman Boebert from Colorado, her son has been arrested. He's been charged with 20 or 22 counts of criminal activity. How do you get to 22? I can see getting to 3 or 4 before the cops show up at your house and knock on the door and take you away in handcuffs. How do you get to 20 or 22 acts of serious crime? I wonder if they knew all about him and they're like, we're going to just sit back and wait and say, okay, Boebert, you will vote a certain way. You will support a certain idea. If you do not, we'll arrest your idiot son who's a criminal, who's been committing acts of criminality for years now. Makes you wonder. Mr. Uman, I was wondering if you would step in.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you finish your thought.
Of course, man. What do you got?
With the Bobert situation, I read that there were a number of car break-ins and stuff like that. So all those little charges can add up pretty quick. Oh,
Well, I
thank you,
mean,
sir.
hitting 20 cars in one night, that's rough.
Well, I guess there was a surveillance thing going on, and then I think they may have found some drugs or something on them. And so, I mean, everything is going to be a separate count. So I could see how they could stack that up pretty quick.
That is true. But Boebert has been a thorn in the side in many instances for the Democrats. They haven't liked her attitude. So when Charlene says, hey, elected officials, family members, now maybe this crime would have been overlooked had Boebert been a little more cooperative with the Democrats.
Oh, sure. It's all possible. I mean, it doesn't have to be necessarily direct threats against them, and it doesn't have to be threats of death or anything like that, but it could be just like you're inferring here. It could be, oh, well, we may be able to look the other way here if you just work with us.
Right.
Or, maybe grandma gets kicked out of that nursing home.
Right. Well, we had a U.S. senator, wasn't it Mendez? He and his wife were accepting gold bars for political favors.
Menendez or something like that.
Menendez.
That's from New York, right?
Yes. So they can get away with that for how long? And then he stayed in office even after they released it, after they arrested his wife. He still stayed in office. He did not resign. And he's allowed to get away with that shit.
Yeah, well, most the MO for most of the Republicrats is that they will step down and disappear and scurry away into the shadows once an accusation is made. Whereas the Democrats, if they get charged with the same kind of accusation, they just come out and flat out deny it or say, yeah, so what?
Yeah, they do the lie and deny or the FU. Like Peter, I'm not Peter Schiff. Not Peter Schiff, but rather Adam Schiff, shit his pants Schiff. He lied repeatedly. He had Trump impeached twice over bullshit lies. He is a sack of shit, and he's still in office.
Democrats can have Chinese spies as their girlfriends and chauffeurs. And
right,
there's no consequence, right?
Yeah, you're talking about Senator Feinstein had a Chinese spy as her chauffeur for how many years? Like fucking 12?
I thought it was 12, maybe 12. I thought it was something like 20 years, or it was some ridiculous number.
Basically forever. And then Eric Swallowswell, loser Democrat from California, is banging Fang, the Chinese spy, while he's on the Intelligence Committee of the House. How is that even possible?
The day that came out, he should have been kicked off of that committee immediately, just like any non-self-respecting Republican would have been.
Well, he should have been kicked off the committee, correct?
Absolutely.
What's his face? The little guy that was just kicked out of Congress. He was expelled.
Oh, geez.
His name has eluded me as well.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
Yeah. And his crime was claiming to be Jewish.
An anti-Semite? Anti-Semitism?
But yeah, all the Democrats, especially the Jihad Squad, can talk shit about Jews, talk shit about Israel. But this guy claimed to be a Jew, so they kicked him out. I can't remember his name. He's the one that also...
And white Democrat women can claim to be black women, and there's no consequence to that.
Well, I've decided I'm a black Asian woman who was born in Mexico, and I'm here illegally. So I can get any job I want and give me all the money.
Well, let me know when you get that $10,000 credit card.
I'll let you know. That's how I identify as a black Asian lesbian woman. I'm going with that. Or a fire hydrant. One or the other. Thank you much, you man.
All right.
Appreciate that. Let us continue. Thank you very much, Charlanator. I'm sure all the elected officials have been told, this is what we have on you, and this is how far we're going to let you run with any idea. You run one step further, we're going to pull your chain. You run 2 steps further, you're cooked. You're absolutely cooked. And people that want to stop criminality in government, people that want to make the government be held accountable, they're not doing their job, right? These people are getting away with literal murder. Now, down in the Darien Gap, Ben Berkwam has reported that the United States government is funding processing centers in South America. The U.S. government is funding processing centers in South America. They're processing illegals, putting them on planes, and flying them into America. They're flying them right over the top of the border, folks, because they processed them in another country. So we don't need a border patrol. We don't need a fence. They'll just fly them in. Why isn't that being stopped? Why isn't that being discussed in Congress? Why isn't it being ordered to be stopped? Where is the law enforcement? Where are the U.S. Marshals? Where is Customs and Border Patrol, Customs Enforcement? Where? Fuck it. Just open the border, let them in. If there ever was a case of lawlessness and treason, this is the moment. How many crimes do we have to see? How many? And nothing gets done. And I know this is part of my frustration and yours as well. Is why fucking bother? Why should I pay taxes if these motherfuckers won't do their jobs? If they're just going to take the money the government gets and collects and give it away to illegals or other countries, or blow it on their friends in their corporations and their banks, why even play the game? It is incredibly frustrating, folks. Incredibly frustrating, but what else are you going to do? What else? Fucking just unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. Okay. Let's do another question. Mr. Uman, who is next? It is Barking Wolf Spider. He says, the bill is due for the freedoms we have if only we were to exercise them. Due to lack of exercising and use, we now have to pay the balloon payment at the end of the mortgage. What he's saying is there's 2 ways to keep our freedoms. That is to say that when the government comes to take them, you fight at that moment, a smaller fight. But if you do not fight every step along the way and be vigilant, then there'll come a point when you stand there with nothing. In order to get what you want, freedom, you've got to pay full price. Unbelievable. It truly is unbelievable. But this is what happens with humanity and humans, not just Americans, every fucking country. Things have to get so bad that people finally lose their shit and demand change for the better. And we've established in this country, the U.S. Constitution is a very sound instrument. But I don't think that is good enough. When it comes to forming a new nation, there needs to be some serious argument that the Constitution doesn't restrict a government enough. That the Bill of Rights need to have a penalty clause enacted against government when it's violated. There needs to be a penalty for violating our rights, violating the Constitution. You shouldn't have to drag someone into court, sue them, have it cost you your entire life just to win and tell the government no. And the government's like, oh, yeah, sorry about that. Fuck you. You lost all your money fighting us. And yeah, we promise not to try and take guns anymore. Hey, we're going to take your guns over here instead. They don't give a fuck. We are going to pay full price. There will be no discount. They've got every enemy of America in this country now. You've got anarchist communists. You have anarchist fascists. You have godless heathen from shithole nations. You have America-hating communists. They're all here. And Chin Music sent me this today. You want to fight back? You want to say something? Good. Do it. We all need to. Or they'll continue to pick at us one at a time. One at a time. Remember that story about the fake pipe bomb that was discovered on January 6th? It was a fake pipe bomb. Right? The cops planted it, or a former cop planted it, and the cops knew where it was, and they pretended. There's all kinds of crap over this pipe bomb that never went off or was never used. And Steve Baker of The Blaze, as an independent journalist, was covering this story, covering January 6th. Well, guess what? The Department of Justice is going to arrest him. Why? They have to go after everyone. Check the story out. It's at revolver.news. Right. All you do is you want to cover the January 6th riot. You want to cover the pipe bomb. Forget it. You're going to jail. You're going to prison. You're done. It's unbelievable, folks, what is going on. It is going to continue to get worse. It is. Let's do this. Snowflakes out there. They need to take into account that I don't have any feelings that they can hurt. And they have feelings that get hurt all the time. So they want to come up against me and you. Make sure your feelings, folks, are well protected. And just go. It's time for the fight. It just truly is. It truly is. Thank you, Darcy T., for the story about Jeff Bezos and Leon Black, Jamie Dimon, and the Walton family, Walmart. They're cashing out, folks. They're buying gold. They're buying retreats in other countries. They're doing everything they can to protect themselves as shit hitting the fan gets worse. I'm telling you, it's coming. Man, what else do we have out there? I know I got just a few minutes left. Chinmya says, John, did you see James O'Keefe catch Engeron in the gym? Yes, I did. James O'Keefe, formerly of Project Veritas. He caught little schmarmy, schmalzy, little nose Judge Engeron, the scrawny turd who played for the camera during the Trump, shall we say, fraudulent fraud case. Judge Engeron is a awful human. I'm going to have to start saying some really rude things about Democrats because I want it understood. They are the ones who are getting aborted because immoral Democrat women are getting pregnant. It is too bad people like Mr. Engeron weren't aborted. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, I'm glad James O'Keefe is still doing it. Still doing it. I caught a video this morning of the woman who is interviewing the IRS agent who gleefully, happily, excitedly, joyfully described how people are being railroaded and robbed by the IRS and that they steal billions of dollars from Americans every year. Unfucking believable. Thank you, Chin Music. Mr. Uman, what do we got? We got about 5 minutes left. And Charlene says or asks, do you think any lunacy will happen on April 8th during the eclipse? Yes. Yes, I do, because people are lunatics. Charlene says parts of Texas have already declared a state of emergency for the eclipse due to the crowds of people expected to travel the areas in the path. I think it is rather asinine to call it an emergency, to preparatorily say an emergency is coming. Folks, people, human beings have tracked the moon and the sun for centuries, for millennia, and they find it fascinating. Fascinating. When an eclipse happens, I was able to view a full eclipse, full solar eclipse. What was it? Back in the teens, when it traveled over extreme Northern California. And I don't understand why they're so rare. I mean, the sun and the moon are supposed to be going around and around, right? Figure they would happen more often. Every time the sun or the moon goes between the earth and the sun, there ought to be an eclipse somewhere. Every time the moon goes around the earth, there ought to be an eclipse somewhere. But here we are. Anyways, the point is it's crazy. Yeah, I expect people to go nuts. I am going to be on April 8th on a company trip. I wonder if I'm going to end up in the path of the eclipse. I'm going to need to check a map. That is coming up first week second week of April. I'm going to be on a business trip. I sure hope the world doesn't go fucking nuts. We all wake up on April 9th and people have turned into zombies like they did on Night of the Comet, a great night dystopian zombie apocalyptic movie from the 1980s with great feathered haircuts and everything. All right. Thank you, Charlene. Thank you, Ooman. The 1980s. The older I get, the more I reminisce and miss, and the fewer people are alive to understand. So Ooman says, Charlene, I predict that it will get dark in the middle of the day in some parts of the country. I tell you what, it was really weird when I was in the eclipse. It was almost like there was a haze in the air as the moon slid between the sun and us. And it was kind of hazy. And the solar radiation or warmth, it was cut significantly. And I thought it's just an odd feeling. And it was only a few minutes before it passed. But it was quite interesting to experience that. The fight between the sun and the moon. Odd. Quite odd. But I didn't think it was life-changing. I guess a lot of people do, though. All right. Oh, man, I've got a little bit more. Do we have any more? We got a smart-ass comment. Uman says, I saw financials came out today showing Bud Light lost another $1 billion in sales, and Disney lost $1 billion as well. Financial proof, wokeness, and fruitcakery is being rejected, and we need to continue to reject it. We do. We need to continue to reject everything about the political leftists. We have to fight every step of the way. And folks, listen to me. If we don't use our free speech, we are going to lose it. Use your guns or we're going to lose them. Get accurate. I mean, imagine if America had 500 million guns like we do, and none of us knew how to use them, and someone came to take them. If you don't use your mouth to speak and use your ears to listen and learn and use your guns and be proficient with them, then they're all useless weapons. Your speech is a weapon against bad politics, against evil people. That's why bad and evil people want to silence the First Amendment, silence you. That is exactly what this is about. It is a weapon, the mind, the body, as well as the gun. They want to stop us all. Fight them now, or you will be, folks, watering the ground with your own juice. There'll be tears, you'll piss your pants, and you'll bleed out. Or you can win and win your own liberty. All righty, I'm done. It is one hell of a day. Tomorrow is going to be Free for All Friday. I had some internet trouble this morning, so I couldn't do Zero Dark. I thought for sure that the country lost its internet and its cell service. It was just my area. In any event, you guys be cool, and I'll see you bright and dark. It's not bright, is it? It's going to say bright and early, but it's dark, so dark and dark. Very dark. Semper Fi. God bless America.